Hello everyone, this is Leslie from The Whole Shebang. I wanted to do a quick video today. I'm going to read a little bit of something, so if you're not interested. This is G. Gordon Liddy. He is someone who I had dinner with in the spring of 1982, and that's why I'm telling this little video so that my children know this someday. If you are not familiar with G. Gordon Liddy, he was someone who was involved in the Nixon administration who went to jail. I am going to do justice to him, and the reason why we are talking about him today is because he passed away yesterday at the age of 90. I would like to not be the person. I would like to make sure that I read properly about his life and give him the credit and his passing. He passed away yesterday at the age of 90. He was convicted in 1973 and sentenced to 20 years in jail for conspiracy, burglary, and illegally wiretapping the Democratic Party's headquarters at the Watergate office complex. That is what Watergate is. He had served as Nixon's general counsel in his re-election committee at the time. Liddy was part of a small group of operatives known as the White House Plumbers, whose mission was to identify anyone who had leaked information that made the Nixon administration look bad. Prior to the Watergate break-in, he had helped to illegally enter the office of Daniel Ellsberg, psychiatrist. Ellsberg himself had leaked the Pentagon Papers, proving that the Johnson administration had lied to the public about the military's role in the Watergate War. Despite spending more than 4 years in prison for his Watergate crimes, including more than 100 days in solitary confinement, he later unapologetically said, "I'd do it again for my president." He refused to testify during the Watergate hearings as well as his own trial, later telling the LA Times, "My father didn't raise a snitch or a rat." President Carter, and this is what I think is interesting, who is a Democrat, commuted Liddy's sentence and he was released after serving 52 months in prison. I had read on a separate thing that Liddy was the only person he was the longest serving person. Most of the other people who had been the people who had been involved in the Watergate didn't serve for more than, months. That's not completely accurate, but he took pride in remaining silent throughout the Watergate investigation. He seemed to relish the notoriety and he delighted in talking about it. So after he was released from prison by President Carter, who was a Democrat, he became a regular on the college speaking circuit alongside LSD evangelist Timothy Leary. And actually, interestingly, I also had dinner with Timothy Leary because I was in college in the spring of 1982. My friend Bob had asked me, would I be interested in running for I think he said treasurer it was called the ABS. And I said, yeah, that sounds fine. I can do that. Whatever. I get involved. I subsequently found out that ABS stood for the Association of Bucknell Students. And it was the entire school. I went to Bucknell University in Lewisburg. And so it was more than I had thought I was going to be taking on. I thought it was going to be one little thing. But anyway, long story short, I won the election. I became the treasurer. And as part of our duties as the student government, there were 4 of us. We had dinner with the speakers who came to the campus to speak. And that is why I had dinner with G. Gordon Liddy. I have to say it's very interesting because Bucknell is it's a school in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. It's a wonderful school. I absolutely love it. However, I remember him really, quite frankly, not knowing a whole lot about him because I was a 20-year-old and didn't know a lot about his involvement. I was a girl during Watergate. I don't really remember all of this, but going to meet him, and the two things a couple things I remember. He walked in and he always looked like this. This was his look, and it was a little frightening. He was probably in his early 50s at the time, I guess. He came across as very fatherly, which was nice. I mean, I can't imagine he wanted to have dinner with 4 of us. 4 20-year-olds. I think that was part of the speaking engagement involvement and fees. But the other thing that was interesting is that his first comment to us was, "It's a pleasure to be in Lewisburg. I'm enjoying my time spent at this institution far more than I was at the other institution," which was Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary. And it got a laugh, and that kind of broke the tension. I remember also that one of the four of us, the president at the time, his name was Dan, was, I think, a little bit, wanting to get into the politics, and he didn't really want to engage in that, and he was much more interested in, I don't want to say this inaccurately, but he was much more interested in defending, he felt like he had defended his president, which I think that's really pretty, I don't know, it's kind of weird. 40 years later, it kind of seems like it's an interesting position and an interesting way of handling that situation, even though he had been sentenced to 20 years in prison and offered no defense of his actions because he felt like he was doing the right thing. So he was certainly a man of his own personal integrity. I don't know that the rest of the world would view that. He subsequently became, in the around the early 90s, a fairly successful radio talk show program, which was nice and good for him. He did have 5 children. His wife passed away in 2010. But the other thing that I thought was noteworthy about this, which is the power of forgiveness, that Jimmy Carter commuted his sentence, which was probably not a popular decision at the time, and he was a Democrat. And I think it also speaks a lot about President Carter, his decision to do that. I just thought that was also interesting. But anyway, I just wanted my kids to know, I don't think I remember anything else. I remember being a little bit embarrassed, quite frankly, because we ate in the nicest place at the time at Bucknell, which was this place called the Scullery. It was a scullery, and I think we probably had like the cafeteria meal. I don't remember it being any fancy meal, being served to us, and being a little embarrassed at this gentleman who had been in the White House and, was a well-known political figure and or nationally known figure was eating in the Bucknell Scullery. Anyway, I just wanted my kids to know, if they ever, after I'm gone, if they ever wonder if I had any brushes with fame, the answer is yes. I had dinner with both G. Gordon Liddy and Timothy Leary. I also did have a very significant role in the Rosie O'Donnell show with Matt Damon, her last season and her last few weeks of her show. I was the woman in labor on her show. If you want to go look that up, I will talk about that in another video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Leslie from The Whole Shebang. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.